Welcome to Community Connection. I'm your host, Rett Nelson. Today's topic is cyberbullying. Parenting is hard enough without technology. In today's highly technological age, there's a huge information gap between children and parents, which makes it difficult for parents to do what they do best, which is protect their children. Between 30 and 40% of children in the United States are victims of cyberbullying. We've got Tim Woda on the phone with us. He's the co-founder of YouKnow.com, a company devoted to educating people about internet safety. Tim, pleasure to speak with you today.
It's a pleasure to speak with you as well.
Now, Tim, as a parent, you know firsthand the dangers of cyberbullying. Tell us about that.
A few years ago, and my oldest made a mistake where he accepted a friend request of a friend on a social network. Something, by the way, that millions of kids do every single day. And he started to engage and talk to this person online, and ultimately went to text messaging, and this person knew everything there was to know about my son. So it turned out this person was a child predator, and they ultimately started to hunt my son down. Fortunately for my son, we were able to gather enough information and turn it over to law enforcement that this person was ultimately arrested and subsequently sentenced and sent to jail for a really long time. But that left us, Rett, kind of scratching our heads. How in the world could this have happened in our house, right? We have a good kid. We were engaged parents. We used parental controls. We had house rules. I mean, kind of the playbook that we're supposed to follow, we followed. And what it really came down to was that the playbook was just older. It was too old. And the landscape had changed, and the tools of childhood had changed, but the tools of parenting and the information we had as to what we should be doing to raise our kids with digital, assets, digital toys, if you will, we didn't really have a very good set of information. And so that's when we kind of started down this path of trying to, update things for parents. And that's really where Kids was developed.
You're so right, Tim. It's a different world we live in. The landscape has changed. And the key for parents to be able to protect their children lies in just simply understanding the technology that our kids use. One of many tips that you have for parents. Do you want to go into those for us?
Sure. We've published our safety tips a lot, and they're a little bit of a moving target because they evolve depending upon what's happening at any given time. Because this technology thing is a moving target. So we kind of speak to, today what we are suggesting parents need to be very cognizant of. Number one, parents need to understand the apps and the services that their kids are using. Okay, that's important because of the fact that they absolutely positively are not always aware where their kids are being exposed to problems. Second thing is you need to talk to your kids early and often about this topic. We didn't know with this generation of teens that this was going to be a problem because the things that they're using to communicate with and to perpetrate cyberbullying didn't even exist when this generation of teens were young. But for the younger kids, we now know this is an issue, and this will be an issue 10 years from now, unless we start talking early and often to kids when they're very young about the importance of how they communicate, what they communicate, et cetera, and respecting one another. I think it's, the other piece that's really important here is understand how your kids use technology, not just what they're using, but how they use it. For example, most trouble, my father used to say to me when I was a teenager, most trouble happens after the sun goes down. When you look at cyberbullying, the reality is this has to play out at a certain time. And what happens is there's a lot of really great parents out there that are doing a really great job of staying connected, and they do things like put the computer in the living room or in the kitchen, and they enforce certain rules around making sure that there's certain visibility because they're putting the computers in the right place in the house. But then they buy their kid a smartphone, and they allow their kid to take their smartphone with them to their bedroom, shut the door, or to their bed at night. And they believe it when their child says, well, I'm using it as an alarm clock. I do think, the last piece of this is, as a result of all of the above, is parents need to be monitoring what their kids are doing.
This is great information, Tim. By the way, if you'd like to learn more, you can visit YouKnow.com. That's letter U, KNOW.com. Tim, we've gone through all the safety tips and whatnot, but when all is said and done, what's the most important piece of advice you can give to parents?
I think the most important single thing that a parent can do is to lead by example. When, when we want to teach our kids that they need to be tolerant, is our favorite radio station in the car when we're driving our kids around one where someone is talking horrifically about other people that they don't agree with. If you want your kids to be kind, they need to see you being kind and expect that they're being exposed to other people who are being kind.
Thanks so much, Tim. Anything else that needs to be said about this topic?
Yeah, I think that the last thing I would offer on, the topic of cyberbullying is to appreciate that this is real. This is not just something that's manufactured by the media. This is not something where the media is just glorifying something because they're looking for ratings. Our kids are dealing with the real, legitimate problem that mom and dad never had to deal with. It didn't exist at the time when they were kids. So just because we don't understand it doesn't make it super real. It is very real. Take it serious. And if you think your child is being exposed to this sort of thing or participating in it, you need to get involved. It will, it does have the potential to be very, very damaging. Even if your child is the perpetrator, it can lead to criminal charges. This is a serious topic. And so parents need to treat it with the level of severity that it really deserves, if you will.